what's up, hello, my name is Emma, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about how booktubers work with publishers. I made a few videos on how booktubers make money and sponsored videos because I've always been really passionate about keeping that area of my channel open and honest with my audience. I do know what it's like to be a viewer consuming sponsored content, and I remember what it's like to be a new booktuber trying to blindly find my way through the world of working with publishers, and so I really enjoy making these videos to give viewers and new booktubers alike knowledge that I didn't have when I was in their position. I really wanted to make a comprehensive video explaining a few of the different ways that booktubers work with publishers to promote books on their channel, because there are just so many assumptions and misconceptions that can come from not really understanding how these things work. Being honest, I really don't blame those who are weary of sponsored reviews or reviews of free books, because there is of course the potential for honesty to be compromised there. I do wish I could change your perspective and allow you to see things from our side, but this isn't a video where I try to convince you that all booktubers are honest. I just want you to know why you don't like it. And as much as I would like to change your perspective, you're entitled to your opinion, and I totally respect that. But the thing that frustrates me is the misinformation that is spread from the dislike of sponsored videos. I don't care if you don't like it. I'm not here to convince you otherwise. I just want you to understand why exactly you don't. As always with these types of videos, they are made through my individual experience here in this community. I'm not attempting to speak for every single member, and it's very likely that there have been other ways for people to work with publishers that I don't mention in this video or that go differently. Let's start with receiving books for free on BookTube, because I feel like that's a little less murky than sponsorships. In my eyes, there are three main ways that booktubers get books for free from publishers: unsolicited books, books requested for review, and books accepted for review. Unsolicited books mean the publisher sends the booktuber a book for free without consulting them first, in the hopes of receiving a feature on their platform. The main thing that sets unsolicited books apart from all of the other different types of collaborations on BookTube is that there is typically no contact between the publisher and the booktuber before the booktuber receives the books and sometimes features them on their channel. When receiving unsolicited books, the booktuber is under no obligation to talk about it. So when it is included in a haul, or if it is featured in an Instagram post, that is entirely at the discretion of the booktuber, because they never agreed to promote it in the first place. From my perspective, I feel that unsolicited books are one of the most common ways you see free books on BookTube. If you want to identify an unsolicited book in a booktuber's video, they are typically disclosed by saying, "I was sent this book for free by." It can get tricky because that can technically be used to describe any book sent from a publisher, whether you have an agreement or not. But a lot of the times when you hear that phrase, it's very likely that the booktuber has had no contact with the publisher before presenting it to you. Requested books are a little bit different because it involves the booktuber asking the publisher to send them a book for free in exchange for an honest review. Now, there are a few different ways to do this. If you check the playlist I've linked below, I do have a video titled How to Get ARCs, and I will explain all of these different processes much more in depth. If you were using an online service like NetGalley, I believe you just put in a request for a book and you were either approved or denied. I'm not a big NetGalley user, so I'm not the best judge of this, but I'm pretty sure it's not a very personal interaction. Sometimes a publisher will send out an email list of a couple of different titles they have available for review, and the booktuber can reply with what books they are interested in, and then they will potentially be sent them, but it's never guaranteed. And sometimes the booktuber will send out an individual formal email asking that publisher to review a specific book. But the common theme among all of these is that the booktuber is choosing the book that they want and the publisher is just providing it for free. Speaking personally, I rarely request books for review. The last time I ever asked a publisher for a specific book and reviewed it on my channel was February of 2017, so it's just not something that I personally like to do, but it is very common in the community. On an additional note, I feel that there is this misconception that booktubers are able to get any book they want from publishers if they have enough followers, and that's just not true. There is a huge chance that you won't even get a reply, much less a formal rejection. I've requested one book in 2018 where ARCs were produced and I got denied. So yes, we do have the great opportunity to request a lot of books, but it does not necessarily mean that we can get whatever one we want. And in the final category of books sent for free by publishers would be what I consider to be books accepted for review, which is when a publisher will reach out to a booktuber with a specific book in mind and offer them a free copy in exchange for a review. So it's kind of like the opposite of requested books, because it's the publisher that's doing the offering. In these situations, the publisher is technically choosing the book that they are offering to the booktuber, but it is of course up to the booktuber if they want to accept it and feature it on their channel. As a note, especially to my new newer and smaller booktubers, you can say no. These requests can become so frequent on your channel that it's literally impossible to accept and read them all, so please don't feel pressured to accept a book just because it is being offered to you. When I first started my channel, I definitely accepted almost any book I was offered because it was exciting and I felt recognized and I wanted to gain experience working in the industry, but definitely over the years I've realized I so prefer to be able to choose what I want to read when I want to read it, and I don't like to have the pressure of having to create a review for a book before I even start to read it. For that reason, I now very, very rarely accept books for review unless I am seriously interested in it, just because I hate that pressure. These offers are really, really common, and I personally feel it's very important to only choose the ones you are actually interested in and want to read, not just because they're free. Oftentimes, books requested for review and books accepted for review can be disclosed on one's channel by saying, I was sent this for review. It's totally valid for a booktuber to just say, I was sent this, but if you ever hear the words for a review, it's very likely that the publisher or author and booktuber have an agreement about choosing to feature this book on their channel. The only real difference between the two is if the booktuber asks for a book versus a publisher offering a book. Before I move on to sponsored reviews, I want to briefly touch on working with bookish companies because it's another area of our community that involves either compensation, free merchandise, or free services. Now, along my booktube journey, I've worked with quite a few different bookish subscription services, and I would say generally most of the time, book subscription services do not pay booktubers for the reviews. I would say it's really similar to books accepted for review because it's usually the subscription service offering a free box to the booktuber in order for them to review it on their channel. On the flip side, I did used to work with a company called Cratejoy who would pay me for subscription box reviews, but I was never in contact with the subscription service I was reviewing. It was all through Cratejoy. Now, along with working with bookish companies, sometimes comes affiliate links and affiliate codes, which are really great because typically you guys get a discount on whatever product we're promoting just for watching our videos. With discount codes and the likes, it can totally vary between each company, so I'm just going to quickly go through my experience with the companies that I've worked with, but I do also somewhat touch on this in my How Booktubers Make Money video. If you don't know, every month I review a fairy loot box and an owl crate box, and I do always promote a code that you can use to get a discount on the box, but I do not earn any commission off of them. All it entails is you get a discount on your purchase, and it tells the company that your purchase came through my channel, which does really help me out because it lets the company know that working with me does benefit them. So of course I really appreciate when you do use those codes. With Book Depository and Audible, two bookish websites that are frequently promoted in our community, I'm not an Audible affiliate, I'm only a Book Depository affiliate, but I do know that using a Booktuber's link for either of these websites will give them either a commission or other benefits. And finally, on this topic, I believe this is probably really specific to my channel, but as we are here clarifying and disclosing things, I feel it's important to mention if you ever see me doing a campaign with a bookstore called Books of Wonder and I'm promoting a code, I also don't get a commission. Books of Wonder will typically send me a book for free and I will promote it and you guys will get a discount, and that's really the extent of our partnership. Basically, when it comes to affiliate codes and affiliate links, it really depends by the company, and the best thing you can do if you're ever confused is to ask the booktuber, but I will say overall from my experience, subscription services don't generally pay booktubers for reviews. Finally, let's move on to sponsored content and sponsored reviews. In my personal experience, I've only ever been reached out to by a publisher to make a sponsored video. I've never done it myself. I know that there are many YouTubers out there and maybe some booktubers that have reached out to a company to say, hey, I'll promote your products if you pay me, but I just got too much anxiety for that. So anytime I've ever done a sponsored video, it's because it was offered initially by the publisher. That being said, it is absolutely up to the booktuber to accept that offer. I have denied sponsored video requests from publishers I have made sponsored videos with in the past. I know of other booktubers doing the same, so please just don't assume that every single time we are offered to make a video for a publisher for payment that we automatically accept it. Although there are common trends among how we work with publishers, we all have our own different business practices. Typically, a publisher will email a booktuber saying, hey, we're doing a paid campaign for this book, we would like to work with you, and they will either offer you a sum of money or else they will ask for a booktuber's rates. Sometimes they will ask for a dedicated review for that book. Other times they will offer a variety of different ideas. So that's where you see the sponsored hauls, tags, other creative videos inspired by books. And additionally, the booktuber does always have the opportunity to suggest their own ideas as to what they want to do to promote the book. Then the booktuber will either accept or deny the offer, and if they do accept it, hopefully a contract will follow. Here's my advice for smaller booktubers. If at any point in your booktube journey you were offered the opportunity to be paid to make a video or to review a book, ask for a contract if you are not provided one automatically. Contracts protect you from being taken advantage of, they protect you from making a video and not being paid, and a variety of other really important legalities. They are important and necessary. Ask for them, read them thoroughly, and don't ever hesitate to ask for clarification or an edit if anything in a contract you were provided does make you uncomfortable. Now, in a booktuber publisher contract, the majority of it is honestly like a template of just a bunch of legal things that the publisher has to say to protect themselves as well. Now, I figured the best way for me to show you what a contract is actually like between a booktuber and a publisher is to go through one of my previous ones. There's nothing in here that says I legally can't share this with you, so I think I'm good to do this. The first paragraph says this is a terms and conditions agreement between myself and the publisher. Number 1 is services, so this just basically outlines everything I am contractually obligated to do as a part of this campaign. The first point is that I have to disclose that I am being paid to make this video by stating it at the start of my video, by typing in my description box, and by putting a text overlay over the video. The next point is the video post, which just outlines what I'm supposed to do and say in the video. So it says the book must be clearly visible on screen with key details and a summary of the synopsis. For this specific contract, it was a life update video, so it basically just says share a life update. The next point is social shares, meaning I had to promote the video and disclose the sponsorship on Twitter and Instagram. And then the final part was to submit the final video for approval. Technically, this is number 2, where it is the time frame saying what date I agreed to post the video. Number 3 is the fees as to how much I was being paid to make that video. Number 4 is assets, which just means whatever the publisher is sending the booktuber in order to make the video. So that could be the book that they are meant to show, any props that are supposed to be included in the video, any sort of digital graphics the publisher wants the booktuber to include, etc. Number 5 is edits, and I feel like this is where people get a little concerned because they think that publishers are controlling what booktubers can say. A lot of people think that we aren't allowed to say anything negative about a book that we are paid to promote, which is so not true. So I'm just gonna read this to you and then I'll explain. It says that the influencer, meaning myself, understands that reasonable edits will be requested where deemed necessary. Influencer can be assured that any edits will strictly be for product visibility, coverage requirements, and factual information based around the release and its brand guidelines, and not affect the influencer's personal tone or style. So that does not mean that publishers can pick and choose what opinions I am able to share in that video. It specifically states that they can't. Again, I can only speak to the publishers that I have worked with, but I have never felt that I was being controlled by a publisher in order to say something specific in a sponsored video. I have been asked to make edits for my videos a couple of times, and if I'm being honest, it's usually just me forgetting to put the text disclosure over saying that this video is sponsored. And I also once said that the main character's name was like Amanda when it was Amelia, but that's really it. And that being said, not every publisher asks for approval before posting that video. There have been many times where the publisher is just like, here is all you need to make the video, send it to me once it's done. So a lot of times they don't even have the opportunity to make edits. There is a section on termination, but this basically says that if for any reason the publisher decides that they don't want this video published, you don't post it. But the important part of this is, and like especially for smaller booktubers, it says that if that is the case, if they don't want you to publish the video, they will still pay you for your time. And that's really, really important. If you're ever in a contract, make sure they have that clause. And then the rest of it is really just the boring legality stuff, like I own this video and the publisher doesn't, it's mine. Representation and warranties is just, again, making sure that I disclose everything that I need to. And then the final point is the partnership, which just means that I am not an employee of this publisher. I am an independent contractor. This is a one-time deal. I'm able to work with other companies during this contract, etc., boring legalities. So to me, when you really think about it, when a booktuber is being paid to make a sponsored video, they're really only supposed to do 3 or 4 things. They're supposed to give the name, title, author, and release date of the book and show the cover in the video. They're supposed to give a synopsis and share details about the book. They're supposed to disclose that they are being paid by the publisher to talk about this book. And then whatever else they said they do in the video, whether that is to share a life update or to answer tag questions or to show other books in a haul, etc. So just from my perspective as someone who watches these videos and sometimes makes these videos, it's really only that 1 to 2 minutes of the video where they are just regurgitating information that is available to you online about the book that is sponsored, and the rest of it is a normal book haul, a normal tag, what have you. I feel like that's the basis of sponsored videos, but they can be disclosed in a multitude of ways. The first is the obvious, this video is sponsored by. Depending on the publisher, sometimes they specifically want you to say paid promotion with. And finally, there are two more terms that I see commonly used to disclose sponsorships, but they aren't as obvious as sponsored by and paid promotion with, in my opinion, and that is I am working with and I partnered with. Again, this can get a little murky because those phrases can be used to disclose any partnership with a publisher, paid or not. I have participated in Instagram campaigns where I was just sent a book for free in order to post, and the publisher specifically wanted me to say that this publisher was my partner. So I personally feel those phrases can be a little unclear and confusing, but I will suggest this to anyone if you're ever confused about what a booktuber means by a certain disclosure. I would encourage you to ask them, because I think a lot of booktubers really value the relationship they have with their audience and they want you to understand what it is they're saying to you. So I think that really concludes my video on how booktubers work with publishers. I know this video was extremely long and very, very dense, but if you are still here, I really hope you enjoyed it. The clarity of a booktuber-publisher relationship is something I have been extremely passionate about on my channel for years, so if you have any unanswered questions about what it means when a booktuber says or does something, or what you might have to do in order to further your own relationship with a publisher, I will be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. In the comments below, feel free to leave your thoughts or experiences on this topic. Do you support sponsored content on BookTube? Do you think it doesn't have a place in our community? Although my opinions on this topic are really solidified as someone who has experienced both sides of this, I do really value the perspective of my audience, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Being candid, if you are someone who happens to really dislike sponsored content on BookTube and you think it automatically means dishonesty from the booktuber, I probably won't engage with you because I don't want you to feel attacked on my channel. Like I said, I'm not here to convince you otherwise. If that happens along the way, great. But I just want you to know that your voice is welcome here. But that is really it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new one. Bye!
Oh,